How are you?
Hi Javier, how are you?
Fine, and you?
It's
Long
great to
time no
see you.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I know we have a very short time,
yeah,
because I actually have to be on the training ground very soon. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to yeah, as quickly as possible, just introduce yourself. As you know, I'm recording this as a way to, if it's okay with you, we're trying to promote futsal in Ireland. There's a particular growth in the girls' game, in the women's game. We've qualified for the World Cup. Commiserations to Spain. Less said about that, the better. But the and really, that's what this is all about. I'm trying to work to grow the girls' game, but also I see futsal as an integral part of that. So I thought it was interesting knowing our previous relationship and your experience in futsal. So I'd just like to let you introduce yourself from a futsal perspective, and then obviously talk about how we met, and then we can go into a couple of points that I want to touch on.
yeah. Thank you, Alex. Yes, I'm glad to help you out if it's possible. My relation with futsal is really deep at the beginning. In my origins, I was playing futsal and football in parallel, and at the age of 18, I have to decide what's a sport we need to dedicate professionally. In fact, one of my best friend was a futsal professional here in Spain in the first division and second divisions. And the structure in terms of professionalism here in Spain, I think probably is the best in the world. In fact, I was awarded the best futsal player in Spain under 16 and under 18
Wow.
many time ago, to be honest.
Yeah.
I didn't remember well, but I think it's really lovely sports. I think it's mm, I think it's funnier than football, than
Yeah.
original football to me.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think in Spain the number of license is the sport with the highest number of license in Spain, higher than football, basketball, handball, and other
Okay.
famous license in Spain.
So what you're saying is that the registrations under
Yeah,
the Spanish Federation is the highest number is for futsal players. Is that what
yeah,
you're saying?
I think so. I don't remember well, but I think it's more or less it's the same. That many kids start playing futsal, and after that, if they are very good at futsal, maybe move to football because the big brother is football, and many kids decide to develop a career in football.
All right. Okay. So in Spain, what you're saying is it's very normal. The progression is really through futsal first. Street football, and you see in Ireland we think that futsal only happens indoors. Is that the
Hmm.
case in Spain?
Yeah, yeah. Indoors, you mean in
Inside, like
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
yeah.
but normally in high school or maybe in a school that it's outdoor also. The pitch is a futsal pitch, but outdoor. Maybe in the initial stage of kids in a range of 7 or 5 to 15 more or less. Most of the competitions are outside also, depending of the region, but and the infrastructure. But more or less, it's both.
Yeah. So it's like those handball Olympic handball type courts. Is
Yeah,
those
yeah.
type?
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. And so just so that we can tell our viewers then, what was your after winning the under 16 and under 18 futsal player of the year in Spain, what was then your progression after that, or in terms of professional football?
Then I was playing football and in my school, and you know that the region or the geographical structure in Spain, you have the country, you have the comunidades autónomas, which is namely regions,
Yeah.
and you have province. and we start winning the championship in my province, go to Comunidades Autónomas, and after that champions of or championship of Spain.
Yeah.
And we play with my team, and we reach the semifinal, and we lost the semifinal, but I was awarded in under 16. I was awarded the best player in the championship, and in 2 years later it was the same. I reached the semifinal, and I have this lost to not to become a champion of Spain, but in an individual
Yeah. Yeah.
trophy was nice, but
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to win with my team.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then, sorry, go on.
And I receive a different offer with very very good clubs, professional in Spain. We have interesting offers in football and interesting offer in futsal, and we need to decide. To be honest, I think that the spotlight of professional football in Spain, it was very sexy, let's say, and we decide to move to football. But to be honest, I enjoy much more in futsal, and probably I become one of, or I was in the top of the professional league. And in fact, I have very good contact in professional football in Spain, and could be help you out to reach one of them.
Well, that would be good. That'd be great. I'll talk to you about that in a few moments. But then just a little bit on your professional 11v11 career. Just tell us a little bit about that in Spain from after futsal.
Then we decide to leave futsal and dedicate 100% football. I signed a contract with Cadiz, and I played in the reserve team. I was training with the first team in at that moment. The first team was in the second division in Spain, and in this year the Cadiz promote to the first division. But professionally speaking, I injured my left knee. More or less this season I just barely played in a couple of games. And the next season I moved to Racing de Santander, which is a very good opportunity because we want to sign me the previous season. And I play the half part of the season and a couple of days previous to make my debut in the first division against Deportivo de La Coruña. At that time, Deportivo was a Champions League team.
Yep.
I broke my left knee also, and that's is not the best luck at those times.
Yeah.
And we will, I think I'll be out of the pitch around 15 months more or less.
Yeah.
And after that we come back to play, and come back to my hometown in León, which is northwest region, northwest province. It's near Gijón, also your hometown.
Yeah.
And come back to play in the third division in a very important club with my hometown, and I broke my left knee again.
Oh.
Six injuries in my left knee, and at 24 we decide to leave the professional football. Is when moved to Ireland. That's my complete my whole career in football. It was full of fatalities, let's say.
Yeah.
But okay, that's at the beginning it was difficult to me to accept that luck.
I can understand.
But that's the
excuse the pun.
That's the line it is.
Well, that brings you on to you came over to Ireland, and I met you at a competition where I saw you. I think you won the competition with the team. Is that right?
Yeah.
You were working at BMW on some kind of internship.
Yeah.
And you were coming over to practice your English, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was of my goals at that time.
Yeah. And you were rebuilding your career then at that time, weren't you? Getting back into
yeah in finance, in fact.
In finance, yeah. So I saw you at this pitch, and I saw you win the competition, and I went straight over to you afterwards, and I said, "Would you be interested in working in a pub?"
Yeah, I
uh,
remember the Slattery. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So at Slattery's, I was working with a guy called Emmett Switzer, who you may
yeah,
remember. He's now the president of the Mini Football Association for the next 5 years. So he's involved in football between 11-a-side and futsal. You know, like all
mhm,
the other stuff, social soccer, 5-a-side, 7-a-side, football for all the other stuff that happens in between. Kind of the fun part of football. So he's now the president of that, and he's continuing to be extremely successful with the Inter Sevens football tournament that you used to play with us. And I tell people two things about it. This guy was so good that I wouldn't play him in the first team because the first team that I had, we had two teams, and I said if I put him in the first team, they're going to be complaining, because it was close to the end of the season, and I thought it was too unfair to bring you in and win the league with you. But anyway, look, one of the things that I tell people about that you said to me, I used to sometimes say I knew this guy, the best player I ever seen with my own eyes, and I was giving you a lift home, and we were talking about football, and you said to me something about that when you go up to a different level, it's the same game, but it feels like a dance. It's like a
yeah.
dance, there's
Is
a
there
rhythm.
is the rhythm of the ball? In for example, in third division, the ball goes shh, in second division shh, and first division shh.
Yeah,
That's the precision in the speed of the ball.
yeah. Well, listen, that leads me on to the importance of futsal. Ireland is one of the only countries in Europe, I think, with a couple of maybe San Marino and somebody else, that doesn't have a national futsal team. We don't have a national futsal program. There are people trying to do something about it. We're trying to work, and what we're trying to do is beat the drum for futsal as a way for players to improve their skills, to have an environment where they can express themselves more and learn to control the ball better. So really, the things we're working at Striker Online with Eamon Scott has been beating this drum for a long time now. And we've just launched the first Ireland's largest futsal festival, and we've nearly sold out. I think we have 60 of the 80 slots sold out. So this conversation really here is about just trying to explain what futsal is and why it's so beneficial to getting the kids their speed of thought, their speed of turn, of control, of passing movement, and really that's what it is. And so, it, in terms of futsal, can you tell us a little bit about the skills that you learn, the things that futsal teaches you, which helps you in terms of your career as a footballer or to learn
Mhm,
to speak the language of football more fluently?
mhm. I think the basic or the foundation of futsal it's control and pass, which is the basic, and after that, at least at the very beginning of the early phases, always enjoy control pass movement, and of course, but overall enjoy it. And for example, as I mentioned by LinkedIn messages, maybe we need to create a structure in terms of national coach. Here in Spain, I think it's the best coach in futsal. I think are Spaniards, to be honest, and the infrastructure with the Spanish Football Federation, because futsal is encompassed in the Spanish Football Federation, is really professional. And I think that the early stage is enjoy control pass, because a tactical way. I think there are if you see the European Championship or maybe the World Cup Championship, the tactical level has developed a lot in the last few years. Even I don't know any country, for example Thailand, or maybe Japan, or Russia, any country. But I think you have to that is very funny because you are in contact with the ball much more time than football.
Yeah, that's okay. Let me stop you on that. So let's go into that a little bit now. Okay, so can you just explain how that would be? How that is that the statement you've just made there, where you are basically getting more touches of the ball than you would in football. Just can we elaborate on that?
For example, you are the rhythm of the game is much more intense and more dynamic, and you have one-to-one very frequently in a game, and you need to find or have to think faster, but at the same time you need to be more skillful with the ball. And that's, you are more focused, you take the ball a little bit more than football, and I think it's more funny,
Yeah, more
and
fun.
at the beginning when you start playing football, you want to enjoy overall overall things,
Mm.
and I think that is very attractive for kids. You shot, you try to dribble, you try to pass, and that's really at least for me. Well, I think it's theoretically or realistic speaking, is a really funniest sport, at least from my view. For example, if you see a professional game of the Spanish league in live, is really vivid. The rhythm, the shot, save of the keeper, last
Yeah,
really fast. Is really nice.
yeah. Well, moving on to girls football at the moment in Ireland, we are going through a significant growth phase for girls football, women's football, and and women now are starting to come into to football in their numbers, and the senior women's team has qualified for the World Cup. So there's this kind of popularity growing of the sport, and girls want to get involved. And of course, the structures of the game, it's difficult because there's not enough coaches. There's not all that much capacity in order to put all these girls onto the field. Okay, that's, we know most of us with daughters who play in football have had similar journeys. The girls can't get onto the pitch maybe at the start. They're not good enough to play, or there's too many players. It's a 7 or 8 a side game, and there's too many subs, or there's not enough game time, like what you just talked about in terms of ball touches and getting on the ball. So one of the areas that I believe, and I've witnessed it, is girls when they begin to play a bit of futsal, even once a week, and play with the ball and begin to control the ball, to learn to control the ball and feel that confidence, that competence in ball mastery develop. Uh, I have seen it with my own eyes how quickly they develop, their confidence develops. And the, the issue that we have in this country is that girls are not getting enough football. They just simply are not getting enough football. And every week that goes past that they don't get that extra football is a week lost. You know what I mean? So one of the things that I'm really working very hard with Damon Scott, who's been doing it for years, is trying to show and demonstrate that futsal is specifically for girls, is a route to development, not just of the girls who are starting to play, but the girls who are currently playing and need to fast track their skill sets in order to build the regional, provincial, and of course the national teams of this country into the future.
Hmm. That's, in fact, for example, in professional football, the training, for example, in Spain, the methodology in Spain, it's dedicated to work in reduced space. For example, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Atletico. If you check one of his normal training sessions, all the time is working in reduced space like futsal.
Yeah, yeah,
And this is very applicable for that if you are good at futsal, a high with a high percentage of chance to become very good at a big football, let's say.
yeah. Well, it's interesting you should say that as well because another area, especially in Dublin, is space, where
Yeah.
space to train, and what you've just said there is really important because it's actually the tighter the space where you train in, the more the higher level of control that your players are getting and the quickness, and that's a key kind of lesson to take from this, even this interview here, is that the tighter the space, the better you become as a footballer.
Yeah, yeah. For example, here in Spain, in every single school you have a futsal pitch, but this pitch it's sharing with handball or maybe with basketball, and it's very easy to find a pitch to play because you have in every single school you can find any space to practice futsal.
Mm. Well,
And
that brings me. This is one of the things that I have kind of noticed is the amount in schools in Ireland. Okay, so in the past, kind of boys played in fields, and kind of girls played in basketball, or they played kind of netball, or in kind of in halls. So a lot of the girls' schools would have either a basketball or an indoor place, or even an outdoor kind of set out area to play those type of games where futsal can be an option. It can be an option. But look, we've 5 minutes to go, and I just wanted to finish on, what, is there anything that we can do? Are there ways that, even just ideas, that we can maybe use our contacts and maybe, potentially look at doing things that might be interesting for Striker Online, and maybe Spain can help promote this wonderful game here in Ireland. Is there any ideas or anything floating around your head?
maybe we can work with one of my best friend, who is he was professional futsal, or even another guy who is working in the Sporting de Gijón.
Hmm.
That guy was a football company among US and Spain, and talked to the maybe one of the legends in the futsal in Spain who has world champions. I think it's Julio Mera, the name. And introduce himself and maybe talk to him because he is one of the legends in Spain in futsal, and maybe can help you out to create a structure in terms of football, or at least to get ideas to
Yeah,
create something big,
yeah,
because I think you need to create the foundation of the Irish futsal. And I think this is a really exciting sport, to be honest, and could be growth a lot, as you mentioned before.
yeah.
And if you consider appropriate, I can talk to my friends, and maybe to reach a meeting with this guy, and maybe to explain a little bit your goal, what you are doing, these kind of things. And maybe, who knows, maybe we can go to Dublin to check it out, and to see what you are doing, and maybe to help you out. I'll really pleased to help you.
Well, that's wonderful news, and ideas like that is exactly what this is all about. I mean, specifically, we actually have a Premiership and a second division here in Ireland in futsal, and it's been fantastically worked by individuals, players, mostly from Brazil or from Eastern Europe, and who and Irish people as well, who are passionate about the game and have been worked tirelessly with the AUL as well, all trying to create this environment. And in fact, we have a team that plays in the Champions League. They don't get past the three matches of the qualifying stage, but they're working very, very hard every year. So there's a lot of impetus there, but there's a disconnect. There's nothing at the ground level to feed that or to even provide. So this is what it's really all about. We're trying to play catch up, and we're trying to bring in people and show that there's a real desire to have this, and then that there's a real opportunity, especially with girls, you see, because this is something that the girls can catch up very quickly with the boys in terms of their ability. It's spread out throughout all girls football, that they can catch up very quickly.
The first division and second division you mentioned are professional, or
No,
it's
no.
Amateur? No,
No,
it's
no,
amateur, right?
it's far from professional. Although one of our teams recently went up the north, and they are they're not professional. It's not professional. In fact, the biggest cost is, of course, paying for the halls. This is a massive
Yeah.
barrier to entry. It's extremely difficult, and that's one of the areas where we're trying to work in Striker Online. And there's certain things that we can do. I'll put them up on this video afterwards. We have a thing called Smart Notion Ads, which we're trying to help clubs and teams develop their ability to fundraise for themselves. And this innovation can be applied to all types of pitches, whether it's futsal, 7-a-side, 9-a-side, 11-a-side. It doesn't matter. But I'll show you those things when I edit it. But it's all about helping to grow football. And I appreciate very much your time, Javier.
No, that's really very grateful for me. Just I remember your help in Dublin, very very caring and very good memories with you. And in fact, my best friend was a futsal professional coach, and is one of the best. But the only constraint that he doesn't speak English at all.
Ah,
And it's difficult to do so, because he's really good at futsal. He's a wisdom guy in this guy. It's really nice. But in any case, don't worry about that. I talked to my one of my friends, who is working in Sporting de Gijón. It's
yeah,
football, but
yeah, yeah.
it was really linked to futsal also, and he knows really the managers, or the top managers in Spanish Football Federation. And I think we will try to call for a meeting in the coming weeks with these guys, and we check the next step to collaborate or something, or maybe
Yeah.
to help you out. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna let that float around my head and maybe come up with some ideas, because we have this big festival going on, and we're going to be able to get a little bit of content from it. So it might be interesting, just as a kind of like a next step into the new year, maybe doing something where we get professional coaches just to look at some of the moves over the 3 or 4 weeks that we have. We can send them to you, and maybe we can do a kind of like a fun exercise where some of the most professional coaches of futsal in the world are basically talking about Irish kids playing futsal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And looking at
Yeah.
them and saying, you know, this is good. This is called this. This is what we call that. Just to begin providing that link between a futsal festival in Gormanston in County Meath and the professional world of futsal and football in Spain, one of the top football countries in the world.
That's it. Good.
Okay, well listen, thanks a million. I better get to training. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Enjoy your training.
Hasta
Thank you.
luego.
Thank you, Alex.
Hasta
Ciao,
luego.
ciao.
Ciao.
Hasta luego. Chao, chao.
Ciao.